Hello and welcome everyone to our first tutorial on digital drawing tools. You've been asked to download either Photoshop or Gimp, and we will be using these programs for several assignments and tasks over the next few weeks, so it's good to get a sense of what they're like. I'm assuming that if you have Photoshop on your computer already, you might be a person who's already sort of familiar with it, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate with Gimp today. And if anyone needs a specific help on Photoshop, reach out to me and I'm happy to do that. So what is Gimp? Gimp is actually a freeware graphic image manipulation program. It's very similar to Photoshop in terms of the amount of things that it can do. One thing that's a bit of a disadvantage with Gimp is it's kind of a cluttered interface. The arrangement of tools to me is not as clean or logical as Photoshop is, but it will do certainly anything that we need it to do for this particular purpose. You see at the top there is a program menu that has various functions that you can utilize within the program. We also have here on the upper left a tool palette, so different tools that you can select from within here. Directly below this is tool-specific controls for whatever tool you happen to have selected at a given moment. So in this case, right now I'm on the brush tool, and you can see that you can control the opacity of the brush, what type of brush it is, the size, the angle, the spacing, the how fuzzy that brush is. So a whole bunch of different things can be controlled over here. On this side of the menu, with the brush tool selected, there are actually a number of different preloaded brush types in here, so you can, I guess you can make little chili peppers out of a brush if you want to. And then finally down here in the lower right corner, we have the layers palette, and this is where we will build different layers of the drawing that we're going to be working on in Gimp today. So one of your attendance and participation assignments for this particular week-long unit is to make a series of digital drawings based on the notion of color schemes. In BB Learn, under the Learning Materials folder in the left-hand menu, there is a PowerPoint or a slide presentation in PDF form that will show you a little bit about what color schemes are and why they're important. And you will be using these color schemes in order to complete this assignment and also in order to make some meaningful choices for your next project, Project 4. So for this little exercise, you are welcome to make a drawing from scratch if you want to. If that is the way you want to go, you will go up to the File menu and you will select New. You can select the dimensions of your canvas and then click OK, and you will end up with a canvas in the center like this, and then you're able to draw or paint away on here. If you don't like it anymore and you want to get rid of it, you can click this little X at the top, discard the changes, and it's gone. Now, because this is just an exercise, it's not a project in and of itself, if you would prefer to use a photograph or something that you already have as a template, you can certainly do that as well. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to open a photograph that I have on my desktop. You can see again, this interface is not quite as elegant as something like Photoshop, but you can navigate to pretty much any place. I have my photo here on the desktop. So I am going to find it right there and open it up. Probably looks familiar to everybody here. We got a little coronavirus image. Everybody's, I'm sure, super sick of hearing about this, but it's a really cool looking little virus. So we're going to make some art out of it. I am going to crop a little section out of here, and to do that I'm going to select the crop tool. If you're not sure what a tool does in GIMP, you can just hover your mouse over it and eventually a little tooltip will pop up and tell you what the tool does. So let's go ahead and select the crop tool here, and then I can pull and drag to get the image that I want to work with. Once I'm sure I've got it like I want it to, I hit the return key, and then I end up with this image in the center. Now if I want to, I can zoom in on this, which is the plus and minus keys on your keyboard, or you go to View, Image, Zoom. You can use your mouse or your trackpad to recenter, or these sliders at the top and bottom to move things left and right. get that on in your screen how you're comfortable working with it. All right, so I'm going to use this photograph as my template, but I'm actually not going to draw directly on top of that. I'm going to make a new layer. Like Photoshop, Gimp is a program that relies on different layers. That's one of its strengths because you can make changes to something without degrading or writing over what's on an existing layer. So to make a new layer, we go down here to this thing that looks like a little piece of paper with a plus mark, and we click it. We can rename the layer. I'm going to name this one Base Drawing. It's really helpful to get in the habit of making useful names for your layers. I know when I'm doing a digital painting, oftentimes I'm just going so fast that I'm building layer out of layer and I don't pay any attention to what I'm doing, and pretty soon everything is just labeled layer 1 through infinity and I don't know where anything is. So that can be really helpful. Okay, click OK, and now I just have a blank layer sitting over the top of my photograph. If I hit this eye next to it, you see that nothing happens. It's just a blank layer, although I could turn off the photo here and you can see what the layer looks like. It's just transparent. And now I'm going to go to my brush palette over here and I'm going to select a brush. We'll start out with this little pixel brush right here, so brush tool. And then you can see I have a pixel brush. The size is very small. I'm going to bring my size up a little bit. And I'm going to come in here. Ooh, that's way too much. By the way, the most important thing you can ever know in any graphics program, and I'm sure you all know this already, Control Z or Command Z, Control Z on a PC, Command Z on a Mac is the undo button. I'm just going to come over here and start making some marks. I'm starting with black. You are welcome to start with a color, but we are going to be working with multiple layers in this little drawing for a reason that you'll see why in a minute. I would prefer at this point if you kind of stick to the notion of drawing more than painting. That is to say that you're making kind of discrete marks on here and you're not blending things together or getting too much into these crazy stars and patterns and chili peppers and whatever else is over there. You're just going to make some drawing marks. Now you can, of course, fill things in and make solid shapes, or you can stick with pretty much linear work. Up to you. I am keeping this drawing very gestural for me right now just for the purposes of this demo, but you can be a lot more careful with what you're doing. It's really dependent on your aesthetic and what you're interested in sort of revealing through your drawing. If you make some marks that you don't like, but you're further along than just hitting the Control Z to undo, this right here is your eraser tool. You bring it over here, just get rid of those marks, just like an eraser in real life. Now, if I want to see what this looks like without my photo in the background, and turn that layer off. Oftentimes, I will put another layer in here, just title it background. And then I will fill that in. This tool right here is the bucket tool. It does not really look like a bucket to me. I'm not sure why it's called the bucket tool. But if I select that and I put it over my background, whatever color I have selected here is going to completely fill the screen, just like that. Now obviously I don't want black on top of my black, so I can change that color. And to change the color, I just click in the tool palette here, click whatever color I want, and then put that in there. And now I have a background layer that I can turn on and off to see my reference photo or the drawing pretty clearly. Okay? Hopefully all clear so far. So what the heck are we doing with this assignment? Well, what I would like you to do is make a drawing of at least 5 layers. So we are going to have, again, this process of coming down here to the little piece of paper, clicking it. I'm going to call this layer red because that's the color I'm going to put on it. Click OK, and we're going to do that 5 times. Okay, I'm going to switch my brush up a little bit. I don't know that I want something quite that soft, so I can come over here and turn the hardness up or pull it over. So I'm going to make some areas of red in this drawing. Whoops, I forgot to change my color. Areas of red in this drawing. By the way, one of the most helpful keyboard shortcuts of all in either Gimp or in Photoshop is to change the size of your brushes. The square bracket keys to the right of the P key on your keyboard will change the brush size. The left bracket will make it be smaller and the right bracket will make it be larger. So I'm just having some fun playing with red. Again, I'm doing kind of a sloppy job with this, but you know, demos, am I right? Okay, and again, I can turn on my background layer if I want to see what it is that it looks like without that background in there. Pretty trippy. That looks like a virus for sure. I'm going to go ahead and make another layer. This one I'm going to make purple. I can make actual color tags and all kinds of information for those layers too if I want to, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. We have this beautiful spectrum of colors here, and if I click on there, I can change the overall hue, and then I can move value and saturation in here. So that looks like a pretty nice purple. Anything that you put on a layer that's higher up in the list here will go over the layers below that. So just be aware of that as you're working, because layer order matters. Part of the purpose of this assignment, you know, again, it's partially about color schemes, but some of it too is just getting the hang of working with digital tools. Because of our switch to online education, we're going to have to be doing a little bit more with digital art making tools, which I actually think is really cool. I'm a big fan of digital art making. I do a lot of it myself in my free time. So, you know, I think that this is a great thing for you all to be able to play with. A super valuable life skill. You know, somebody that knows digital stuff in today's world is super marketable. But it is a bit of a learning curve. So the more you play around with it, the better. And I want you to play around with it on this exercise, something that is relatively low stakes, before you take it to something like a project where it's a little bit more high stakes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 3 layers. Let's do another layer and call it blue. Change my color. I think I want a crazy turquoise. Okay. Oops, wrong tool. It's too bad I can't share both my screen and my view because my cat, Clivo and the Bad Enough Dude, is sitting here on the bed, like with his feet all curly and his belly up in the air. Such a little flirt. All right, let's see what that looks like. All right, groovy, good enough. And then I think I'm actually going to change my background color here. So you remember where the paint bucket tool that doesn't look like a paint bucket is? Right here. I think I'm going to make that background, let's make it like sinus infection green. Yeah. Okay, make my brush bigger with my square brackets. Or come in over here and size slider. Woo! You guys ever get some kind of, I don't know, weird, odd, bizarre pleasure from making really ugly art? I sometimes totally do. Okay, beautiful. All right, so here's my coronavirus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of color in here. That's what you're going to need to have. If you have a drawing here and you decide that you need a little extra oomph, you can also reorder the layers. Just select one of the layers, click, and drag it to the new place that you want. Okay, so once you have 5 layers, each with a different color on them in your drawing, hopefully a drawing that is far more beautiful than my acidically colored coronavirus, you're going to play around with the color of each layer to create 5 different versions of this drawing that represent 5 different color schemes. The first of the color schemes is just going to be the random one that you put together here. It might be naturalistic color, it might be a little bit made up color, but it's what you went with initially. After that, you're going to do one that is monochromatic, one that is analogous, one that is complementary, and one that is triadic. If you are confused by what I mean when I say those things, go back to Learning Materials in the left menu of BB Learn and select the Color Schemes PDF and read all about it. So I'm going to go ahead and do an analogous color scheme for you just to demonstrate. You can spend a little time thinking about what kind of colors would look good for this. So I think that for something that is kind of viral like this, all of these acidic blues and greens are a lot of fun. So maybe I want to change some of the other colors so they kind of blend in with that analogous color scheme. So all you need to do to change the colors is you're going to select a layer whose color you want to change. Let's start with this red one here because it is the most extreme. And then if you go up here to the top of the program window, there is a menu item set that says colors on it. If you click that, you see there are a whole bunch of different color related things that you can mess with. Color balance, temperature, the hue or chroma, which is hue and saturation, the saturation itself, and a various number of other things. I personally like this hue and chroma slider right here for changing colors. You can come over here to these little up and down buttons and play around with which hue it is, which means, is it blue, is it green, is it yellow, what the saturation of the hue is. Ooh, that's a viral color, isn't it? Blah, it's like goose poop. Um, and also what the lightness or darkness of things are. Now I'm going to tell you, since I'm doing an analogous demo right here, if you don't remember, analogous color schemes are 2 or 3 colors that are next to each on the color wheel. So I think that green looks pretty good there. And then I can select this purple over here and again go back up to colors. I'm going to go to my hue and chroma slider. It's my preference, but you do any of the ones in there that you like that seem to work for you. And I think I want to get another version of a green in here, or turquoise. Yeah, that's the stuff. Turn my lightness down a little bit. And you have your finished drawing. So each time you finish one of your color scheme drawings, you need to save it. Interestingly, we're not actually going to go to save like you normally would for programs, but instead we are going to go up to the File menu in the Program menu at the top of the screen, and we're going to scroll down to Export. When you select Export, it'll pull up a dialog box like this one. You want to choose a name for your file at the top, something that's descriptive that you can remember. And then down towards the bottom, you will see this pull-down menu of file formats. Select that and scroll down to JPEG. Select to the JPEG and click Export. This will open another dialog box, and from here you can select the quality. I usually turn it up to the maximum quality. There's various other options that you can explore, but really just choose your quality and click Export. Booyah, you have your file all saved. It's in the correct format. Now you can go back into Gimp and you can play with the hue and chroma sliders again to create your other color schemes. You need a monochromatic, an analogous, a complementary, and a triadic, as well as your original naturalistic or intuitive color.